joined now from Dorset by the Vice President of Huawei UK, Jeremy Thompson. Good morning to you. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. How are you feeling at the confirmation of this decision that Huawei's products are going to be removed from the UK's 5G network?
This is a very disappointing day for us. It's not a total surprise, but it's a disappointing decision by the UK government, which has been driven by huge pressure from the Americans. We have to remember back in January, the UK government gave the green light for Huawei to participate in the 5G network, and we felt that was the right decision. But since then, the US have implemented some draft sanctions which have yet to be confirmed, but that means that there is some risk that we are currently in the process of mitigating, and we would ask the UK government, urge the UK government to reconsider it once we've had the opportunity of understanding what the potential risks are from the American sanctions, which were motivated by the trade war, the tech trade war between China and the US. So yes, we are disappointed, and the people who are going to pay for it, unfortunately, are the UK consumers, who, if they follow the American trend, will pay 30% more for their broadband connection and have slower speed.
It will be incredibly frustrating for them, undoubtedly, but the difficulty for you as the Vice President of Huawei UK, and perhaps embarrassment for the company as a whole, that you haven't been able to separate yourselves from what is seen as Huawei being an extension of what is considered to be the communist state that is China. It's not just the Americans that have decided they're not going to use you. The New Zealanders aren't, the Australians aren't. There's questions all around Europe whether they are willing to trust this technology. Donald Trump saying again and again it's unsafe security risk is a real issue for you, isn't it? How do you persuade these governments that you can be used carefully and safely? Because clearly it's not working.
Yeah, but I mean, I think just to correct you, there are only two countries, actually three now, that have made a decision not to use Huawei. The United States, Australia.
I should imagine from your perspective, though.
It's many, many too many. You know, we operate in 170 countries worldwide. We have communications equipment that working with carriers. The big operators in every country, in 170 countries, we support 1/3 of the planet in terms of communications. 5G has become a political issue, and the Americans have put huge pressure on the UK and many other countries in the world. And the reason why we're talking today, Ben, is because the US implemented a new rule, which is currently in draft, which makes it difficult for Huawei to build its chips, which are the core to our products. We think we'll find some mitigations and alternative suppliers, but that will take time, and we need a little bit more time to identify alternative supply and an alternative supply chain. And once we've done that, we need a little bit more time to convince the UK government that that is
Jeremy Thompson,
safe.
can you, I mean, we're talking about supply chain and chips, but can you separate yourselves from the fact that the feeling is that Huawei here in the UK or in Europe is just an extension of the Chinese communist state? Can you be critical of China? Because we've seen what they're doing in Hong Kong, how they've changed the laws there. So people aren't allowed to protest, they're not allowed to criticise the government. As the Vice President of Huawei UK, can you criticise the Chinese government?
So we are completely separate from the Chinese state.
So what do you make of what they're doing in Hong Kong at the moment?
Company. Listen, I'm a telecoms executive. You know, my role is to roll out broadband and to make.
But if you're separate, you can make those statements, though, because the tricky thing from our perspective is that we want to see that. We need to see that. The government needs to see that you are independent. So if you have a perspective on what they are doing, you know, our government has offered 2.5 million, potentially 2.5 million passports to people living in Hong Kong to come back because of what's happening over there at the moment at the installation of the Chinese with this ban and this change of the law. Can you not criticise them?
I think it's absolutely right and proper for our government to call out on human rights issues or issues that they see in other governments. You know, it's my job to support the carriers in rolling out 5G and other telecommunications projects. I wouldn't ask our government to do that job, and I don't see it as my job to comment on other aspects of Chinese government or any other government in the 170 countries in which we operate. So I don't see that as my role.
What do you think the consequences of this decision might be from the point of view of could there be further ramifications between trade deals between China and the UK? What about the future of Huawei in the UK? We understand you've got around 1,500 employees here. Will you be reconsidering your presence here in the UK?
So we have as you say, 1,500 direct employees. We have 7,000 plus people who work for us. We are tooled up and excited, and have been excited about what 5G can do for the UK. The UK was the second country in Europe to launch 5G. We were part of that, and we helped make that happen. We have to reassess what that means. We will continue to support our customers here in the UK, but clearly in 5G, that's not something that we'll be participating in future years, which is very disappointing for us. But we will support the other products that we have here in the UK. Do
you foresee any risk to those 1,500 jobs that Charlotte mentioned? Is there any potential job cuts because of this?
We're going to have to cut our cloth according to where we're allowed to operate. The biggest impact of this decision actually is not on Huawei. There was a report a few weeks ago before this announcement by the Assembly Research Group, and they estimated a 2-year delay to the UK would cost in the region of £30 billion worth of GDP. So that's a huge amount of money. The impact of the delay on Huawei is important for us, but actually the impact on the country and the delay and not getting 5G, not experimenting with the benefits of 5G sooner means that we are going to lose a lot of the benefits and the upsides of that just at the time when we need that kind of stimulus for the UK economy.